Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Wednesday in the Riv after a debacle of a city state of the city address and a city council meeting.
It was a 15-page State of the City address. And I'll tell you now, it's very interesting the way he spun some of his items in his State of the City address. But before we get to the State of the City address, I want to show some people some stuff. Okay?
Oh, good. Let's do that.
Okay? This is where your tax dollars go here in Fall River. That's an electrical outlet. That's a hole in the wall. There's the outlet with the hole in the wall.
Looks like an OSHA violation to me.
I think so. And wait, it gets even better. And that's the doors. Can anyone guess where this is? Well, I can tell you where it is. It's at the Durfee High School men's room. Imagine what the women's room looks like. This is where your tax dollars go. They can't even keep control of the children in that school. And they don't try. Because it might be traumatic for the child. Instead, we'll just send you to RPS. Nobody is watching out for the taxpayer money. And I know vandalism occurs, all the time. And I know that it occurs in the high school and the middle schools all the time. I mean, growing up, we used to write on the bathroom wall. Remember? I mean, so and so was here, for a good time call. I mean, those were the things that we did. We were stupid kids. But that stuff could be cleaned off. Not that they ever did. But when you put a hole in the wall and pull an electrical outlet out, you're asking for some serious damage and some serious hurt. I can't tolerate that. Those pictures were provided by Carlos Caesar. He took them the night of the meeting that they tried, or they were going to try, to close the Tansy school. And then after that, they decided they were going to close the Stone school. And if it was, I'm no big supporter of Mimi Larrabee, but as Mimi Larrabee said, I just said I wasn't going to do this to the Tansy school without notifying the parents and getting some input from the parents. I'm not going to do it for the Stone school until we get them involved. And it was interesting at that meeting because Kevin Aguiar and Shelley Pereira denied ever saying that they wanted no input from the parents and they weren't going to ask for permission. That's what they said. It's on video. I'm not making it up. It's on video. And they said that. But as a typical Fall River politician does, they talk out of both sides of their face. So enjoy. That's the way it is. And now we can get on to the State of the City address.
Well, wait a minute. I got a comment on that too.
Okay, go ahead.
They also talk out of their anal sphincter too. So
That's true.
That's true. But listen, there's a greater problem here. We can go back a year or two ago. We had numerous videos of fist fights at the school.
Yep.
We had videos of toilets being ripped off and stuff like that. And remember something. We are paying a maintenance division to maintain these schools, and they're right. We can't maintain anything because we don't. They don't want to. They let things stay like that. Now, we have an allegation that they painted over mold to hide it. And that could be a major lawsuit. We're in the process of getting proof of that because we supposedly, the individual who told us that has pictures. So we are going to reach out to that individual and get pictures of that. The school department does nothing but cover everything up and do nothing. Absolutely nothing. The school is a mess. There should be a report of all of this stuff somewhere, and it should have been fixed immediately. And they love to spend money. Well, put cameras there. Put cameras and find out who's doing this. Now, inside the bathroom, that's problematic. I know you can't put cameras in the, because I mean, I know there's a few people in that department might want to do that, but that's illegal. I mean, you can't be putting it into the men's room or the ladies' room inside. But you can sure as hell come up with something to minimize this damage. You can tell me that you can't have the janitorial staff and the teachers that go into those bathrooms walk by them, immediately report it, then you can go to the video and see who was in the bathroom at the time, who entered the bathroom. They don't give a shit. It's only your tax money. They're going to pay a maintenance department not to maintain. They're going to pay a head of maintenance not to make sure that they maintain. And then they're going to let the school and every other building in the city go into total disrepair. So there you go, taxpayer. Another giant dump on your head. Thank you very much, Cover-Up Committee. That's the new name of the school committee, Cover-Up Committee. They're anointed. And at that, we'll get to the state of the state. Well, look, like I said before the thing, it was a 25 on a bullshit meter that went to 10. It broke it. Broke the meter. Went right off the charts. Paulie Pockets said, we're flush again. We're flush. We got $26 million in our rainy day fund. I've put in $15 million. Well, it sounds like overtaxing to me. But are we really? Is that true? Well, you know, what they say and what you see are two different things. It's just like on a federal government. Joe Biden can get up there and say, we're all doing great, but we're not. I just saw something this morning on the news that said people are now buying houses with other people and sharing houses because they can't afford houses. We know that over 60% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. We know that the inflation rate just went up like 3.1 or 3.2% again. Gas is going up again. People can't afford groceries. But Joe said everything's fine. Shut up. Everything's fine. Don't believe the bill that they give you at the supermarket. Don't believe how much you pay at the gas pump. Don't believe the fact that you can't afford to buy a house or pay your rent. You people are all nuts. Everything's great. And that's Coogan. Everything's great. Well, if everything's so great, I want you to explain to me, CJ. Maybe you can. Maybe I'm just a little too over-analytic. I don't know. But you explain to me how we were picking up private trash and paying for that trash. The taxpayers were paying for that trash to be disposed of. Both types of trash. Since the Jaisel administration. Now, he's been in for 4 years. He's in his 5th year. And when Jaisel got it, I don't know how many people we had on that list, which they shouldn't have been on that list in the first place because it's against the law. But he had, I don't know, 50, 60, I don't know.
77.
77, okay. I know it was under 100. Now it's over 300. During the Coogan administration, it's tripled, more than tripled. And he let it go. Why? Some of them probably gave him campaign donations. But all of a sudden, out comes the directive. Oh, we're going to stop the city of Fall River now. Well, why didn't you abide by the law for the last 4 years, Paul? You didn't give a shit. You know why? You're freaking broke. And we know it. You're full of bull. That State of the City address, you've already said, oh, the city council put their hands on it. Oh, we got a lot of tough decisions to make. We got a lot of tough decisions to make. Oh, yeah. Oh, you got a lot of tough ones. Well, if we're flush, why are we so concerned? Why did we stop private trash pickup? Just to save the nickels and dimes that you're always talking about for dumping their stuff. You relieve the taxpayers of the burden that you didn't care about, the taxpayers you didn't care about. You let us pay it until you needed money, not the taxpayer until you needed money. So that doesn't compute with your state of the city address. And also, you're trying to dip into the retirement fund like they did from '02 to 12. Again, shows your desperation. And we have that on video. If you remember the show, that the shows, plural, that we did on the retirement meetings, you'll remember at one of those videos, and we'll pull it up again for a later show, where Jim Machado said to our CFO, "You're telling me that the $500,000 that you're trying to save by getting a lower funding schedule and not give it to the retirement system," which you, by the way, are obligated to do because they're supposed to be your fiduciary duty. That's what the law says. But he said this, he said, "You're telling me that $500,000 in a budget nearly a $500 million is going to bankrupt the city. If the city's in that difficult a financial shape, the mayor should go on and say we're broke. Tell everybody we're broke." And you know what the response to that was? Total silence. And then we have another video where she's complaining about they need the money because of 9C cuts. Well, we didn't get 9C cuts. And they still wanted the money. That's why they fired the 5th member. So all these things, you don't have to be Inspector Clouseau, Monk, or Sherlock Holmes to figure out that there's something rotten in the state of Denmark and Fall River. Because that state of the city address was total bullshit. And with that, CG, I'll turn it back.
You know, I'm going to go over some highlights of this mayor's state of the city address, and I'm going to try to give him some credit for some bullshit. Because I'll tell you, if you look through the surface, you can see where this works out for him. For instance, he said that of the $69 million received in federal ARPA funding, all has been committed to public health initiatives, assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits. My household didn't get anything. I don't know if your household got anything, Chip, but my household didn't get anything. Public sector initiatives. That's all the stuff that he spent on the police and fire. And upgrades in sewer and water infrastructure and municipal improvement projects for his friends. Like sidewalks that were repaired for his friends. That's the way I look at it. And he wanted to thank the city council for working together with his administration to create a cohesive and strategic plan for the $16 million Fall River received in ARPA funds from Bristol County. He had to say that because that money there, he had no control over. That control was limited to the city council. Because if you remember, he sends down to the city council everything to receive and expend. And that's what he did with the ARPA funds. And the city council being so stupid, so bloody stupid, they keep approving all of those to receive and expend. The city council expends money, not the mayor. The mayor can request it, but the city council must approve it. Not the mayor saying, okay, we're going to spend it because I said I can, because the city council is too stupid and they abdicate their responsibility every time. Every time. Now, the mayor claims that our revenue from building permits to date is over $690,000, which puts us on target to surpass last year's numbers. But that building permit has all been for market rate housing. He claims that 53 units of affordable housing was made. 53 units isn't even going to touch the need. Okay? And they're talking about the $1.66 million they received from the federal government to revitalize Pleasant Street. the buildings, the businesses, they've already spent some money on revitalizing the storefronts for places like Rose Bakery and whatnot, Abu's Feast. But that's not revitalizing Pleasant Street. That's not revitalizing the Flint. When you focus on Pleasant Street only, you're not revitalizing the entire Flint. You're only revitalizing Pleasant Street. And remember, we have a problem down on Pleasant Street with Stafford Square. Get a heavy rain, and it's a flood zone. And he said, oh, well, we've given $2 million to Paul Ferland to address that. It's already been said that it's going to cost over $50 million to repair that situation at Stafford Square. $50 million. $2 million is not even a drop in the bucket. You know what that $2 million is for? Planning. We're going to have another planning meeting. We're going to have a plan to address it, a plan to deal with it, a plan to work on it. We have a lot of plans, but nothing happens. And that's the big problem. A lot of plans, nothing happens. And there's a lot more I can go into, but I'm going to give you a chance to talk, Chip, because you keep chiming in.
No, go ahead. No, you hit a lot of great points, but the bottom line is, listen, he didn't give anything of any significance to any small businesses. He gave them to his friends. They were all pet projects. We haven't seen any positive movement, but let's look at what you just said. It gets back to what I talked about him not worrying about the picking up of private trash when the taxpayers were paying the bill until he got short of money. Now he's going to say to the businesses, you pay for this trash dumping. But he didn't care when we were paying for it, when the taxpayer was paying for it. Now you brought up another point. Now he talked about the 625 bazillion whatever in building permits. Oh yeah, that's going to go into his budget to blow on his friends some more. But is that going to make the budget any better? Well, yeah, for him to blow money again. But you know who's going to get it worse? You, the taxpayer. Because you know why Paul is crowing about that? He didn't tell you the other half. 90% of those people that pulled the building permits are getting tips that we're paying for. The city gets $625,000 or whatever it is in building permits, and we get to pay their taxes. But he don't pay it. Just like the retirement system they're going to dip into. He doesn't give a shit. He's not in our retirement system. He's in a teacher's retirement system. So this is the problem. Paul doesn't care about the taxpayer. He doesn't care about the citizen. See, all of a sudden he's talking about the building. Oh, the city, yeah, that's how great. See, it shows we're doing great. Well, people can't afford their rents. People can't afford anything. And I saw another documentary saying that one of the things that's driving out the rent are the illegals. They're putting them in all the hotels, putting them on all these communities, and then it's driving up rents because it's minimizing the amount, and the demand is greater, and the prices are too high. So that it's compounding the issue. But while we're on a retirement again, after that debacle last night, where those councilors who wanted to make a hire of a political and not table it so we could get the full facts of the violations of the law, they all deserve to be run out, and I will do everything in my power to run them out of office in the next election because they run. And I am going to publicly thank and commend Michelle Dion for objecting and bringing Perak down, and then saying that we will show up and we will tell them this is a blatant circumvention of the law. The two people who are on the board violated the law, and I read it at the last show that says you can't vote no just to let a mayor pick it. We had a resume that will knock your socks off. And then I heard somebody say, oh, he wants a Fall River guy. Really? No. He wants somebody that's going to do what they want him to do. Is Seth Akins a Fall River guy? No. City administrator? No. Is Bridget Alman a city female? No. And by the way, the retirement board doesn't have a residency requirement. We've got retirees that live all over the country. Some of them live in Florida, some of them live in North Dakota, some of them live in East Overshoe, Washington. I don't know. The retirement system is a system for people who work in the city of Fall River. And their fiduciary responsibilities to them. But those cronies that wanted to just ignore the letter that I wrote that articulated all the violations of the law, because it clearly states in that law, and there's Akins again, another not Fall River guy, saying, oh, the mayor's got the right under the law. Well, read the whole thing. Read the memo. The only reason he has that right is because the two people that the city sends to the board acted in violation of their fiduciary responsibility and the law. They refused to even interview, which you're supposed to by law, if there's an issue, to hire a guy who has expertise in Chapter 32, the retirement law, spent his whole life in the public sector. Director of Municipal Finance in Braintree, Treasurer-Collector in the city of Newton, Town Accountant in Milton, Treasurer-Collector in Bridgewater, Treasurer of Dedham, Audit Supervisor for a CPA company, Senior Audit Controller for another investment company. All these things, this resume, amazing. All in the public sector, spanning his entire career, going back into the 90s working in this field. But no, they want to hire a banker, a mortgage broker, a mortgage guy. Why? Because he's their pal. They fired a banker. Arthur Vienna, the fifth member of the board, is a banker. This guy is actually a specialist in retirement. This guy's got the best resume I've ever seen. They should hire him to run a damn city. But he retired. That's why he wants this. He wants to stay a little bit with his finger after retirement. It's like a little part-time job for him because he's been in that business since the 90s. He likes it. He's a CPA. He likes this stuff. Some people do like this stuff. But no, they wouldn't even consider him. And that law clearly states you can't vote no just to let a politician make that pick. But Seth Akins never said that. But it will be said at the next city council meeting. And it will be posted. And I hope Channel 10's investigative reporters get their hands on this and get told that that meeting is going to be pretty interesting. So kudos again to Michelle Dion for having the coverage. And also kudos to Cliff Ponte for making the motion to table, I believe. And
yes.
And of course, Michelle Dion, who voted in favor of the tabling. And to Andrew Raposo, who also voted to table, I believe.
Yes.
So the other councilors, Kilby left under the guise of I had something to do, because he's a lawyer. And he knew that what I wrote in that letter was factual. He knew that it had to be looked at and it should have been tabled. But he didn't want to do it and have the mayor be mad at him. But the other ones, have you ever seen the speech on, I urge you all, and I know you know it, CJ, it's one of my favorites. Go on YouTube and say, Scent of a Woman, the speech in Scent of a Woman. You'll see Al Pacino talking about a student who stood up and did the right thing and was going to be thrown out of the school by the school, and the son of a rich donor was sitting with his father, and he made a statement with a expletive on it about what they would, that school and what that politically connected guy were doing by rewarding the people who were doing the wrong thing and screwing the people who were doing the right thing. So that's what I say to you. I can't say it, but you know what it basically is. Because you people do not give a damn about the people of the city of Fall River. Never did. And you can go down the line. Paul Hart, so far up Coogan's ass, if he farts, his head will explode. Laura Washington Sampson, whatever the mayor says, she does. And who was the other one there? Wait a minute, we got here. Sean Kadim. Sean Kadim, when he was the city administrator, I think he was here when they raided the system the last time. He is a big advocate of stealing money from the system to fund the city now, and don't worry about it later when I'm not working here anymore. So it didn't surprise me, because I've seen him advocate to pay less into the fund. So that's unsurprising. And of course, Joe Camara, another bobblehead. So, this was a disgrace. It was an injustice to the retirement system and to the retirees and their beneficiaries, which by statute, that board has the only fiduciary obligation they have is to the members and their beneficiaries, not the city budget. We're not here to subsidize the city budget. They can't balance their own budget, and now they want to help the mayor rob more money. And they can all go to where the sun don't shine. And with that, CJ, I'll turn it back.
Well, I have to bring this up because the mayor said inflation is rising here in Fall River as it is everywhere else. But I will do everything to ease the burden. Are you going to not raise taxes this year, Paul? Are you not going to raise the water rate this year, Paul? Are you not going to raise the sewer rate this year, Paul? I already saw those come down to the city council. So those are already going to hurt the city taxpayer. Even the city renter. What can you do, Paul, to ease the burden of inflation on the Fall River taxpayer, on the Fall River citizen? What can you do? Are you going to order the supermarkets to cut their prices? Are you going to order the utility companies to cut their prices? Are you going to give each individual household some money? No, you're not. You're not going to do anything to ease the burden. You're only going to make it worse. You said it yourself. You have a problem with the $600 million that's due for Diamond. And then you acknowledge the fact that the only for-profit hospital in Fall River, which pays millions in taxes, may not be a for-profit hospital much longer. It may not be. How are you going to handle that in your budget? What is your plan? Why didn't you tell the people your plan in that budget? 15 pages. 15 pages and nothing about the plan. All about highlights, not getting deep into it, not listing the truth to its best, because you know how to do that, Paul. You'll take one word and twist it. One word and twist it. You don't lay it all out. I mean, I've got the actual copy of your state of the city address, and I'll tell you now, you talk about your FAST team in the police department. The FAST team has received 558 referrals for mental health or substance issues and provided services to 448 individuals. With the commitment compassion, and dedication of these hardworking individuals involved in the battle against opioids, I'm pleased to inform you that we have seen a decrease in overdoses. In 2018, there were over 1,000. In 2023, we saw less than 500. But here's the problem. I've made phone calls to the police department for mental health issues from somebody who had a mental health crisis several times. No fast team was dispatched. I never saw a social worker or anyone who happened to be inclined to work in the psych field. I spoke with a couple of very concerning police officers who took it to heart and Section 12 the person that was having the crisis. A Section 12 means to place them in a psych facility involuntarily. It's a committal. That wasn't done with a psych person. That was done by a police officer. So don't give me compassion. 448. There are a lot more phone calls to the police department and to 911 for mental health crisis issues than 500 or 448. You claim a reduction in police abuse complaints because of the body cameras. We should have had body cameras years ago. And you used ARPA money to get them. Not a problem. And you used ARPA money to fund the storage of those records. But we had to give the police department more money to do something that should be normal practice. And that's carry a body camera. That's the important thing. And one of the other things you talk about in your State of the City address is the school department. You're going to love this one. You're going to love this one. Okay? You claim that the school department and the school system is doing better than it ever has. Okay? You've said that. You've actually given us some highlights. And I'm trying to bring those highlights up right now. And I'll tell you, it makes me laugh. Okay? You acknowledge that Maria Ponce is leaving, which we talked about over the weekend in the weekend flush. And you congratulate her on her 38 years of service to the city of Fall River. And you claimed, okay, let's look at these things. Here's the success in the Fall River school system. 12% decrease in chronic absenteeism rates. 91% teacher retention rate this year. 609 pre-K seats for school year 23 to 24. 64 positions added. How many did we say a few shows back? More than a few shows back. 64. Okay? And this is what happens. PACE Center is offering parent ESL classes. Family Academy series is fostering relationships between families and schools. Durfee's early college program has successfully helped students earn over 2,000 college credits from our partners, Bridgewater State University, UMass Dartmouth, and Bristol Community College. Most of the students in the early program, they start 1 or 2 semesters ahead. But that doesn't make it work. That's not bettering our Fall River school system. That just shows that your idea of bettering the school system is the creation of more jobs. That doesn't save the student. Yes, chronic absenteeism is important, and there's a reduction. I'm proud to hear that. Very proud to hear that. But you've done nothing to improve the quality of education in the school system. And you are so concerned about having the parents and the families work with the schools that you turned around and we're going to close the Tansy School and the Stone School without even talking to the parents. You were so frustrated after 3 hours and 15 minutes, you had to take a break and get up and walk away. Once again, you had what you wanted to do struck down because there was over 200 parents there fighting you on closing that school down. This is where our money goes, people. This is exactly where it goes, to jobs. More jobs than we can talk about. He says there's a reduction in crime. I don't know where the reduction in crime is. There are gunshots all over the city. Just because somebody doesn't get shot doesn't mean there's a reduction in crime. There's still threats. Just like when you said, Paul, there are bullets flying all over the city. Unless you got a bullet in your house, you don't have a complaint. Yes, there are complaints. Yes, there are. And I'm sorry, Paul, but when people are told not to report crimes or are afraid to report crimes, that doesn't instigate safety or feelings of security in people. It's a feeling of terror. And that's what's happening. We have a feeling of terror. When an elderly man can have the crap kicked out of him downtown on Granite Street in Fall River, and nobody comes to his defense, that's a problem. And how did people find out in Fall River about it? Because they posted the video on social media. I have a problem with that because the person who was taking the video should have been helping. But again, there's a sense of terror. People are afraid to get involved. That's why your police officers carry body cameras to prevent complaints about police brutality. People need to feel secure, and they're not feeling secure. Your line of bullshit in this State of the City address is exactly what should come from a politician. Just like came from Joe Biden, came from you. Okay? Highlights of money spent without benefiting the people of Fall River. And your promise to do everything to offset the cost of inflation doesn't work. Because there's nothing you can do to offset the cost of inflation. Nothing. Unless you plan on giving me a tax break. Am I going to get a tip? Am I going to get a tie? Are you not going to raise taxes this year? Of course not. You're already trying to find nickels and dimes everywhere you can find them. Starting with the trash, going to the retirement board. There's always money to be found somewhere by you, Paul. Always money to be found. And you say that you've raised the stabilization fund by $15 million. And I don't doubt that. But as Chip said, that's a source of overtaxation. That comes from all the free cash every year. And free cash just means we took you to the cleaners. We took you to the cleaners. That's what happens. People need more than just empty promises. Maybe someday we'll get them.
Well, quickly, and we can wrap it up. But quickly, listen. When you see a speech like that, it's all diversity. He put 60 some jobs in the school department. How many of those jobs were when he reorganized and gave people $100,000 pay raises and made them supervisors by creating 4 supervisors with 1? How many are assistants to the assistant to the assistant, principals, and all this other stuff? Where is it directed, as you said, at education? Listen, I'm going to close with this. The government is all full of shit on all levels. All you got to do is look at the federal government. They gave, I think, $500,000 to one of the senator's districts, to something in a senator's district, for you know what? To study racist oyster beds. I'm not kidding. I said that, CJ.
Racist oyster beds? Are the oysters racist?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I said. I didn't realize there were beds of oysters that were growing on a racist reef. And one of the other ones I'll close with is they gave California, I forgot, over a couple of $1 million to put non-racist bus stop signs up. talk about government pork, and this is what they got. And then when they make these speeches, they tell you how good they're doing. Like the intervention on the fentanyl stuff, it's a good thing, but that's what we're supposed to do.
That's
Don't
right.
take it. Don't take credit for earmarking money for public safety and for social issues like this. There's a fentanyl crisis throughout the country. We have all kinds of other resources that do that too. But it's nice to know that they're actually doing something. But if that is the crown jewel that you have to put in your speech, you're just like Biden. Biden didn't say anything about anything he did positively, and what he did say was an absolute lie. And with that, CJ, I'll turn it back to you because I've had enough of their bullshit today.
The cows are walking around Fall River. and they're making their dumps. Well, I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Friday. Have a great day.